Um, it would be like at a certain time, and I guess archaic. uh,
Yeah, it's all
um,
good.
but fortunately adaptive, and in my archaic stance, I feel like, oh my gosh, we got to be there Thursday at 9 or Saturday at 9, which is
Mhm.
typically when the show is airing and it's broadcasting, airing,
Yeah,
streaming. How's that?
right. There it is.
So, and I've got this in my brain behind me all the time, and I put a lot of energy into the idea of the live stream itself, and learned along the way that the magic, for me, it seems, is in the archive. It's
Yeah,
not actually in the live stream. The live stream has hundreds of people tuning in, which is dope. But then over the
yeah.
course of time, as it goes on, the numbers are obviously shifting into the thousands, and I'm like, this is crazy. And I think to myself a lot, um, how I use Netflix.
Yeah.
So, do you guys have a list going on Netflix right now? Have you built like a list of movies and shows?
As far as me with Netflix, I think I've rinsed it.
Wow,
Like,
yeah, you're like, I've done the app.
yeah, my list is the whole thing, and I've done it. I've done that. I honestly, once the pandemic hit in and everything went down, like I literally, it was like Netflix was my only source of like movies because they shut the movies down. So I used to,
Yeah.
like on our weekdays that we have outside of touring, like it's nice to break free from everything. And me and my girl would go to the movies every Monday, Tuesday. That was a thing. And then when that stopped being a thing, and we're like, oh shit, how are we gonna watch movies now? So
Yeah.
like,
Because you never really even watched TV, really.
yeah, I'm
Like,
not a big TV person, so we started watching Netflix, and then we watched everything. So
So I want to say welcome to the show. This is Utility Room. That is Gettoblaster. Super stoked to have you both with us. Um, One of my favorite parts of going through the bio and getting ready for our episode tonight was to read the very first paragraph in it. In your bio, you guys both shout out Chicago and Detroit, um, and mention the fusion of these ideas and carrying the flag for these ideas of what were originally from Chicago and Detroit, techno, house music. Um, I love this. I feel like when I'm checking out um, a variety of producers and acts that are performing, touring, recording, that there's an idea of their way, and I'm not saying that's not what y'all are doing. I don't really hear a lot about how we're going to go and take what was so important, the legends, and bring
right,
that forward, and still wave that flag, because it matters. And this is very thematic with what is happening here in Utility Room, which is the ideas of what we did, where we came from, how it happened, and what we're doing right now, and how all of that makes sense. So yeah, welcome to the show. Really stoked to have you all
yeah.
with
Thanks
us.
for having us, man.
yeah.
Yeah, it's you guys have been super crazy busy through the pandemic.
Yeah, yeah, we actually. It's funny because I mean, obviously, being a touring DJ, when you're out and about, like you don't have time to lock down in the studio as much as you'd like to. And now it's like all these crazy ideas that we got from touring for 5 years, we've been able to actually like sit in the studio for a whole year and pound out all these crazy ideas that we got that we couldn't really hone in on while we were traveling. So it's been
Can I
really good.
can I get a bit of an introduction? Because and here's the thing, I have history with you, Paul. Like,
Yeah, for sure. We go way
we
back.
yeah, we've toured together, we've been to parties together, I mean, we've partied together. I mean, like, I
We
want to
drove through a cave together.
listen. That is one of the most legendary nights of my life. I wanted to talk to you about that on the show, but before we get to that,
Yeah, yeah,
so
for
who
sure.
who who's the other half of Ghetto
So this
Blaster?
is my partner Zach.
Yeah. So I'm from Detroit. Yeah, Paul and I we met like what late '90s, I would say. And just kind of clicked, became friends, stayed friends throughout the years.
So he was a rave promoter back then. He would throw rave parties, and he would
Yep.
bring me from Chicago to play his parties.
Yeah. So I
So that's
was.
how I knew him because my history goes so before me and you met. I was a real big part of the Chicago rave scene days. Like here, hold on. I actually
What are you
sold over
reaching
a
for?
hundred. I sold over 100,000 copies of things like this, my mixtapes, and I was a thing. I was a thing in the warehouse scene in Chicago for many years, but I didn't put records out. I sold mixtapes. So for me, I became a popular DJ in Chicago off tapes. And I worked at Gramophone Records. I worked at Hip House, Supreme. I worked at all these different record stores, and we would be selling mixtapes there, the flea markets, tables at parties. And over a 3-year span, I sold about 100,000 mixtapes. And that's how I got around the Midwest, and that's how he found out about me and started bringing me to the raves in Detroit and Kalamazoo and other places.
Yeah.
So that's how we
So your
linked up.
relationship began with you guys working together
Yeah.
and partying. So you guys were already solid.
And we became good friends in the process. Like the stories go and go, but it became a day over John Madden football. I came into a promoter's house that had booked me for what I thought was going to be a barbecue party / all these things, which it ended up the promoter just was a huge fan of me and booked me to hang out with me, not to really have a party.
Yeah, so the promoter hit me up and he's like, "Hey man, Paul Anthony's coming into town. Like, you want to come up here and just like kick it or whatever, and we're just gonna barbecue and chill or whatever." So I was like, "Yeah, man, I'll come up there." So
I thought there was a party going on this whole time, and there really wasn't a party. It was just some weird guy who wanted to hang out with his favorite DJ, right? Yeah. So he's there, and I'm there. I'm like, I was like, I guess we'll just play John Madden. I was sitting there. I looked at the promoter guy. I'm like, "Hey, bro, are we gonna have a barbecue?" He's like, "Oh shit, you really want a barbecue?" I was like, "That's what you paid me for, bro." Like, yeah. So he calls somebody. He's like, "Yo, man, I got Paul Anthony at the crib, bro. Like, can you bring a grill?"
Yeah, and some food. Can you pick up some food on the way?
Yeah, I'm like, and I'm looking at him. I'm like, "Oh, yo, bro, your boy really didn't have a barbecue?" He's like, "Oh." So we get to about midnight, and I kicked his ass in Madden football, bro. Like he was like he's one of these guys who plays like the plays and like, the defense, and I'm just like a gamer nerd. So I found a loophole where I could throw Hail Marys and just kick his ass. This fucking guy threw the controller at the TV. He got so pissed. So around 10 o'clock, I go, "Hey, dude, is there a party that I'm going to be playing at?" He's like, oh, you really want to play a party? Hold on. And he calls some other guy. He goes, "Hey, you guys got a party tonight, right?" He's like, "Cool, Paul Anthony, compliments of us." He's like, "We're bringing him. He's headlining your show." So it wasn't even a show. I was thoroughly creeped out. But in the meantime of all this creepy shit going on, me and him became friends.
Yeah. So how was the party?
It was actually all right. It wasn't bad. It was like a warehouse party. We just like took over some warehouse party. It was hilarious. So
do you think that
made
type
us
of thing
be
can
friends.
happen today? Does it still go on that that a promoter might call another promoter and be like, "I've got something going on. Will you go ahead and take my talent and throw it on your event?" That's it's not promoted.
I don't think so.
Right. That's why I was asking the question. I was curious.
It's so serious now that I don't think that's a thing anymore. I mean, I've definitely crashed parties where I've popped in recently, like me and him, like we do everything together. But once in a blue moon, when we don't have gigs on a weekend, like before the pandemic, I would pop into like the old clubs that I used to have residencies at in Chicago, and I just pop in. They're like, "Oh, do you want to play?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, who you got here tonight?" They're like, "Patrick Topping." I'm like, "Oh, that's my fucking boy." I'm like, I walk in, Patrick's like, "What are you doing here?" Next thing you know, we're playing. Like. So it does happen, but not quite like that story.
What do you feel like that type of organic sensibility it's gone? Is it still around, or is it just that we're only seeing the big marketed stuff that's flashy and zip zap, and the stuff that's underground
I feel
is missing
since we came up, you're old school too, so like think about how commercial, even though things are underground, how commercial the actual business side of this has gotten.
Right.
So it's a little more tough for the organic stuff to happen unless you're boys with everyone involved. You know what I mean? Like if you're friends with promoter, venue, headliner, then it's more organic. You can do things like that. But when you're not and you're just random, it just doesn't happen anymore like that. Not in America. It happens in Europe though. I will tell you this. We went to ADE. We went to ADE. Fuck, even in Poland, but ADE, we had gone to a party to go see Sneak play and Riva Starr and Jesse Rose, and it was like an 8:00 in the morning party, and no headliners, but the venue was completely packed. And I asked the promoter, I go, "Hey, where's Carlos?" Because I'm friends with Sneak. I wanted to see him. I was like, "Hey man, I like to see my boy," and he was like, "Actually, we have no headliners. They messed up the flights, and they thought the party was night and not morning." So we don't have any headliners. Do you know where I can get a headliner? And I was just like, Well, I was like, well, we're right here. We can play for you, and we just ended up taking a 3-hour slot to a sold out club. So
That's
like,
dope.
yeah. But that's that Chicago hustle, though. Like some people are bashful and won't ask. Fuck that. I'm like, dude, you need a headliner. We're right here.
Yeah.
So
What is it? Do you think that is it that we're only encountering stuff that is quite bright, well packaged, well marketed, and it's checking all the boxes on how it's going to work? Does this remove the integrity of the art of what's supposed to happen?
I think it's become the standard. It's like you have to check the boxes. The art's a big part of it, but you also have to check the boxes. Does that make sense?
I mean, it does. I mean, yes.
Yeah. I mean,
The
here's the
short
thing, bro.
answer
Like,
is yes, and I wonder often about the conversation of art versus commerce. This is another theme that's been recurring on the show. On what we would like to do versus what we might have to do. Um, and all for the sake of actually it's I feel like it's a circle, a yin and yang. Both pieces
yeah,
need to exist. I know that you must have a passion angle to what's happening, both you and Zach.
100%. This wouldn't even exist if it wasn't the passion angle.
And
100%.
that there's probably efforts that are taken to keep that spirit alive. But in order to do that, we obviously must have food on our table to do that. So maybe some gestures happen where they're not the ones that we would have made primarily, but they're the ones that we're doing so that we can get to the passion and keep that fire burning.
I mean, rhetorically speaking, like when you're riding a skateboard barefooted and you're coming into a ramp and you're going to jump it, that shit hurts with your fucking no shoes on, right? So you got to put your shoes on to do it proper. You could do it barefooted, and the analogy is yeah, you could do this career without checking the boxes, but you should probably check the boxes if you want to actually get there faster and correctly, if that makes sense.
No, it does. I mean, there's obviously, I'm not quite sure if there is one path. Do you believe that there is only one path that could be walked to take yourself to a final place, or a place that you, maybe not final, maybe that's not the right word, but the spot that you're hopeful for, that you're seeing?
I don't think so. I think we could take many paths. It's just a matter of certain paths. Like, yeah, we can make a lot of money, but we have to pay taxes. There's no way you get around that, bro. You know what I mean? And you're going to blow up in the music industry. You probably need to do social media, whether you like to do it or not. A lot of the older guys don't like to do social media, so you have to embrace it. There's certain, you have to have presence. Do you have to? No. Does it make it easier? Yes. You know what I mean? It's just like certain things are you don't have to, but you can. And some people's wins are the social medias more than the music, or the GQ guys who are like super good looking, which, well, neither one of us are that, but I
No,
mean,
no.
maybe
All three of us are like, thank gosh for music, right?
thank God for good music, right? If it wasn't for good music, we'd be fucked. but a little bit of this, a little bit of that, I think all of it makes a difference. And for us, like, I think my biggest fail as Paul Anthony, which is a hard thing to understand because, like, we always want to be like, oh, we did this, we did that, we did this. Fuck, you read our bio. It's what we did, is what we did. What did I do wrong? You know what I mean? Like, how did I fuck up? Because I obviously fucked up. I had a career for 20 years that put food on the table, but wasn't going any further. It was like I hit a bar, a plateau, and I felt like it's just beating a dead horse after a while. I wanted a fresh start, a fresh angle. And the funny thing was, when it came to the EDM shit, I think where I started, my biggest plateau was 2009 and 10. That's where I think I was my biggest. And then that's when I was on the laid back Luke's labels. I was on the ultras, on all the bullshit that you had to like do to like try to be that cool 15-year-old superstar, right? But I wasn't the 15-year-old or the 18-year-old guy. So I didn't fit the mold of what EDM was turning into. So for me, I started realizing I was chasing a dream that wasn't even initially my dream. It's just I had to win in a direction, and I started making music to keep. I don't even know how to put it. Like the way
It's
I
like
can.
a shiny thing in front of you, and you want to.
I mean, are we PG-13 or can we get explicit on here?
Yeah, I know. We're on the internet, so I mean, you could say whatever the fuck you would like.
Okay, so when you're fingering your girlfriend and she's about to come,
Let's.
I mean, like,
I don't know if I was gonna go there. Maybe I
yeah, but
should.
do you stop or do you keep going? Like, you know what I mean? So like, I
Holy
had to
fuck,
win
Paul.
in a direction, and I was like, all right, let's keep going this way. But I started realizing that I'm making trance, and I hated it. Like, what was I thinking about putting epic buildups and all? I'm not an epic guy. Like I don't know. It's strings and big anthemy tracks is not what I was trying to do when I got into making music. You know what I mean? Like, so and I don't know about you, but like I was from the warehouse scene. I wanted to make techno. I wanted to make house music. I wanted to make, and I started making electro, which was kind of that, but then it started really going into this weird place that I was forcing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, I mean everything you're saying to me makes a ton of sense. There's a I've talked about this before. There's a period of time where me personally, I was doing stuff I want to say for 2 or 3 years, and I was releasing music that I was not in love with, and I regret it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, when we formed Gettoblaster, that was like one of the biggest things was like, let's make the music that got us into this. Like what really like turned us on, you know? House music, techno, it wasn't like the electro and everything else. It was like what originally like sparked it
Yeah.
in both of us, you know? The love for the music.
Yeah, and my weird analogy about the whole sex thing. Basically, I was saying though, like when you have a win and it's doing good, you tend to want to go that way.
So what you're
You
really
want
telling us right now is that you care for your girlfriend and you wish to please her.
yes, yes. And I was pleasing my I was pleasing my want for success, but I wasn't pleasing my what I really got into this for at all. And I realized that was the emptiness of it, and that's why I wasn't going any further. At least that's what I took from it. You know what I mean?
I do. I understand
Okay.
exactly what you're saying. I think that what you just described is part of the path of an artist. I believe that regardless of stature and
Yeah.
and positioning, that you probably have been on that path if you're an artist. What you just went through and described it, the core of it, of the decisions and wondering. I really enjoyed the perspective of the idea of what did I do wrong. It's not what did I do right, and that you also craved a fresh start so that you could leave behind whatever that was, but still carry a lot of what you had in your toolkit to process towards the future.
Yeah, even friendships, relationships, like fuck, everything that we've done for the last 20 years plays a big role in what's going on now. But it's like, let's try to do it with less mistakes, or let's make new mistakes. Let's learn from new mistakes, not old mistakes. Let's not be redundant. It's like, you're in a circle, you keep hitting a speed bump. You got to get out of the circle and create new circles and new speed bumps. You know what I mean? Like, try
When
to
you're
minimize how many mistakes.
when you're thinking about social media, both Zach and you, Paul, together, are you guys doing posts together? Do you guys run posts by each other? Is there one person that's the admin of the page, another person that's the editor, or is it group decision? You guys are hitting the button at the same time, like a
We both do it.
like a
Yeah, yeah,
Voltron.
We both do it, and if one of us doesn't like someone's post, we'll just delete it.
yeah.
Wow, that's
So
great.
I think the biggest move for why we even started Ghetto Blaster was, one, my best friend will never fuck me over, which is really hard to find in this business. So
Do
that
you
was like the
find that the
number
bad
one.
experiences have been overwhelming for you in the past in forms of collaboration and release?
I think for both of
Yeah,
us, yeah,
yeah.
like whether it be throwing parties, making music, partners and labels, I have been fucked by everybody.
Same. Yeah.
Like I have record labels that distributions went out of business, and like TLM went out of business. Couple $1,000 gone, artists coming after me. I'm like, dude, like my distributor went out of business. He went bankrupt. I don't know what to do. I'm trying to gain control of my label, like things like that. Like, as far as that, and as far as doing records with someone, they blow up, then they don't talk about you in their bio. I've had all of it happen, bro. Like, you name it. I don't, without naming names, but I don't have to really do all
No,
that.
of course not. It's not a
Probably shouldn't
slanderous
even
thing.
name. I probably shouldn't even name that guy's name, but
I'm not.
but
I didn't hear
so
it. I didn't hear it.
yeah, but the point. So it's like, I knew that working with him, I was gonna have those hiccups. We've been boys no matter what, and I had a crazy experience shortly after the last time I seen you. Like probably a few months after the last time I seen you, my ex girlfriend died. So like my whole music industry stopped for like a good 6 months. I stopped doing everything when she died. So like,
I'm sorry. I'm
I
sorry
was
to hear that. I had no idea, man.
yeah, it was a pretty crazy experience for me when you're like on tour and then you come home and then you're like calling your girlfriend and then she doesn't answer. You go to her house and she's dead. Like it's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
so that was crazy experience for me. And he has went through some crazy loss in his life, and that's when we really bonded.
Yeah.
Like he got on a plane and came to visit me in Denver, and that was like,
Yeah,
let's
I
just
knew what he was going through, because I went through like some pretty tragic loss too. So something that was just spur of the moment, quite like what he did, and so it was like I was just trying to be there for
yeah,
him, and try to help him through it because I kind of experienced it before, and I had a really hard time with it when I went through it. So I was just like, because I kind of took a step back and was like, all right, what would I have done differently? And I was just trying to help him out.
and at that moment I was like, hey, you want to do a group together? Because I took a break from music. I want to kind of get back at this. And he was like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, cool. I got about 15 grand to blow. Let's go to Miami Music Week.
Yeah.
So we pretty much got on a plane from there, went to Miami Music Week. And I said, I told him, I'm going to spend every dollar to get into every club that I want to go to. I'm going to try to find myself again and see what it is in music that I want to do again.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like, I think the two clinchers were when we were at Sneak's party.
Yep. House Gangster Party.
At the House Gangster Party, we ran into my boy Felix the House Cat and Bad Boy Bill, and we just had some really cool talks with them. And then the Port and Chicken guys invited me over to play the 1111 rooftop party with like a whole bunch of huge dubstep people. And I told this guy, I go, I'm gonna fuck these dudes up. He's like, why? I'm like, we were talking about going back to house music. I go, they want me to play dubstep. Yeah, right, dude. I'm playing the percolator. So I had a room full of dubstep people. I dropped the percolator. And the first dude I see on my dance floor stand up on a table and like getting it was Paul Oakenfold. So I was like, I think I just hit the spot, bro. He's cracking up. I go, so we're going to start a group called Gettoblaster. I already had the group in my mind. I already knew what I wanted to do. So that's how we started.
Yep.
Wow.
Crazy story.
Wild.
It was like extremely depressing, sad shit to an
I feel
extremely
like I just
happy
went
explosion.
through some movie or something that just happened. It's super sad beginning, like and then both you guys, and then coming together. It's like John Wick into Justice League into Ghetto Blaster.
Yeah, pretty much. And honestly, that's why it's been like 100 hours a week at this shit is not even work, bro. Like this is easy shit. This is fun. We enjoy
That
every bit
story
of
is
it.
just, I mean, I'm not quite sure. I don't even know what to say. Just except, wow.
Yeah,
That's
thanks, man. I mean,
nuts.
like I said, it was extreme, and we did Ghetto Blaster apart for a little while. Like he was in Grand Rapids, Michigan, here, which is in between Chicago and Detroit, and I was in Denver. And I was like, if we're really gonna do this, one of us needs to get closer to another. So he had just bought a house, so I was like, fuck it. I just packed up that Friday after we had the conversation.
Yeah, we had a conversation literally a day later. He's like, bro, I'm on my way. I'm like, oh shit, I gotta get like your room ready and shit.
Because I was just renting a condo, so he had no idea that I was like, when we said, hey, you should move in, I'm like, all right, cool.
Y'all live together.
Yeah, we live in the same house. Yeah.
Yeah.
You, Zach, Paul, you guys, maybe one of the cooler, house music duos on earth right now, at least as far as I know. That story is just incredible. I'm sorry about the hardships. I'm obviously happy that you guys did come together. And
Yeah,
this is,
we had to make a positive happen out of that, bro. Like too much negative, bro. I could have went down the rabbit hole. Just like, I mean, he went down a rabbit hole for a long time with his situation. I helped him get out of it.
Yep.
And when he saw me going down the rabbit hole, he's like, "Oh fuck no, dude! Like, nah, like let's get this together." And I snapped out of it pretty quick. I started realizing me being sad about my girlfriend passing was me being selfish. Like it was time for her to go. Like it clicked in my head. Stop worrying about what she doesn't have and is not here and how I'm missing whoever, and realize she's probably in a better place. And I need to start making everyone proud of me versus not worrying about they're not here because I'm sad they're gone. Like it's not about me. It was time for her to go. You know what I mean? So it clicked somewhere in the midst of it, and I just flipped it around. And next thing you know, we were on tour. So
it feels like it for some, it's turned into a bumper sticker. For others, it's a mantra. Music saves. Is this part of where you guys feel? Have you guys had this conversation on your own about house music saving you guys? And then even as I'm asking the question, I'm wondering, is it house music or is it techno? And I guess that's where I want to get into this, because it's kind of, we talked about it for a second, and how I described earlier in the show when we first started how, well, firstly, I'm just going to go Paul, you're the Chicago, Zach, you're the Detroit. What are you guys doing to make this fusion happen?
Well, exactly what you said, right? I mean, it's like we're not techno, we're not house, but we're both.
Yeah, yeah. We have tracks, and we've got like full on songs. You know?
And it shows with our support list, which I don't know if that was in my press kit I sent you, but the support list goes everywhere from like Solomon to Dixon to Laurent Garnier to Carl Cox, Marco Corolla. That's that side. Then you got like the Loco Dice. You have the Amin Edge and Dance. You have the DJ Sneaks. You have, I mean, Todd Terry, Claude Von Stroke, Martin Garrix. Like, you can't really put us anywhere, because like the same record that Tiesto played was the same record that Martin Garrix played, was the same record that Dixon played, and the same that Solomon played. And all of those guys are in different areas.
Yeah.
It's the same record. Like, so to understand what we do, and it's been very hard to market that, because how do you market that? Where do we play parties? Which parties do we play? Because like at the end of the day, that's why it's been really hard to find an agent, and it's easier for us to have a manager than an agent, because the agent really doesn't know where to plug us, because they're like where do you go? Where? And that's the thing. We stayed in between so they could put us everywhere. That's just it, because how I play my sets and how we make music is a whole different category, because it is a little techno, it is a little house, and it has a little hip hop edge. That hip hop edge, because we live in America. And
I honestly, I feel like I'm having a moment right now. Like I know Zach, I'm bad, Zach. I know that you're not talking, but like I'm feeling right now what you guys just said. I am in that. That is me right now. Like, that is so crazy, because this is my big problem. I'm like, what stage do I go on? The house music people are not interested in what I do, and the techno people do not call what I do techno. Right. I'm not electro house. Beatport put me there. I never asked for it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, now what?
That's what came with the name change, because had we been doing our real names, we would be stuck in electro, bro. Like we had to come at it with a new angle. So the new angle made Beatport, the guy that sits in the office that doesn't go to the parties, not know who the fuck we were.
And at first, when we first did this, like we weren't showing any pictures of ourselves, and not with our faces, so it was all the music.
Yeah, for 2 years, no one knew who it was, and that was the best part. There was actually articles we found on the internet being like, the faceless duo Gettoblaster drops new EP. We're like, that's awesome. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like we played, and it's funny because our first EP that came out, he asked me, he's like, "Hey man, did you see Patrick Topping's interview in Mixmag?" And I was like, "Who's Patrick Topping?" Because I didn't know. I mean, dude, I just came from the EDM world. I wasn't knowing who's hot on Hot Creations and all this stuff. I knew who Jamie Jones was because he's like the president of that department. So I'm like, okay, let me see. And then I found out that Patrick was an awesome DJ, great guy, huge producer, and he charted our record #1 in Mixmag as his favorite record of the year.
Yeah, that was off the first EP.
That was the first EP we ever put out, ever. And that was the same one that a lot of like, you know, I think Shiba-san played that one. A few people played that one. It was really crazy for us. Laurent Garnier played it. You know, a lot of randoms played ours. Random huge people, like highly. I respect all these people to the fullest. Like to me, like to see that happen on our first EP was mind blowing to us. That was cool. And I was like, well, fuck. I think we're onto something here. I think we're onto something here. This is cool. Let's do it again.
I'm curious about something. I'm curious about your take on this. It seems like the formula has entirely changed. DJs who are on the big stages must be creating their own music, are identifying themselves as producers before they're calling themselves DJs, but they will still DJ. What is your thoughts towards this?
Go ahead.
I mean, that's a tough one. I was a DJ first, so like that's what made me fall in love with the music. I'm not like gonna knock anybody's hustle either, I guess,
No, no,
if
no.
that's how they got to
Is
make
that?
their
You know
living.
what? You're right. My question did seem a bit condescending, didn't it? Yeah.
But my answer to that though too, it's like I've seen it in 100 directions.
Okay.
I think Junior Vasquez said, I've never touched equipment in my life. I tell my engineer what to do. So like I don't have a problem with that either. As long as you're directing it, that's cool. Like you're there, you're part of it.
Okay.
I'm not real big into the 100% ghostwriting stuff,
Right.
even though I've been guilty of doing that for other people.
Right.
I mean it's a nice paycheck. That's and hence the reason I've done it before.
Right.
But as far as having it done for me, I could never do that because I have a clear vision of where this is going to go and where it's gone so far. And to leave that into someone else's lap, I could never do that.
Right.
They don't. I have a vision, and there's a lot of little things to go into that vision. And unless you know who DJ Gemini is, or you know who, you know, early Green Velvet Records, or Boo Williams, or like Robert Armani's, or like or even the Marco Carolla early music, or I mean, dude, you can go down the fucking list of all the people that inspired me. Hyperactive, like I can go down the whole list. You hear all Dan Bell, DBX, like Richie Houghton, John Aquaviva, all these people, like all of that is in our music,
Yeah.
100%. And DJ Dion, Bad Boy Bill, like you name the list, it's all in there. It's all in our music. You go through our catalog and you listen track by track. Like literally, you're like, fuck, every person that guy just named, there's a track that sounds similar to something like that. And it was inspired by these people. So it's like to leave that in the hands of someone else to like try to make that for me is impossible. Like there's no way. They don't think the way I do.
You know, it's actually what you were just saying right now that had my brain. I now hopefully I can go ahead and get the thought out in the right direction, so I could potentially ask this question in the right way.
Yeah.
If we're in a time right now where DJs are producers and predominantly playing their own music, how
Yeah.
important is it for a producer to get their record played by somebody else who's predominantly playing their own productions?
I mean, I think it helps it be recognizable because here's a fact. The people who play our records, we don't play on stages that big most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But they do every weekend. So yeah, if they play our records, when it's time for us to play our records, we're like, yep, that's ours,
Yeah.
that's ours, that's ours. Or if we're at the party and Lauren Garnier drops our track, we're in the back, we're like, oh, that's ours, yeah, cheers, and we'll know, it's like, I think it's important. Like some people call it ball washing. Oh, you're posting videos of someone else playing your track. To me, it's an honor to have other people play when I find people playing my tracks, it's fucking incredible. On my social media wall, I will post a video of Claptone, of anybody, Shiba-san, whoever's playing my records. To me, they have 5,200 singles to pick from every week on Beatport that come out. 5,000 tracks come out every week. To get any of those guys to play one of our records, to me, is an automatic. I'm blown away. Like I don't expect shit in this business. I don't make records for other people, but if they do recognize them and play them, bro, to me that is a beyond an honor. Like I'm so thankful for anyone to like my shit that I make in my underwear in this room. Like, dude, like I'm sitting here in my room talking to Zach. We're over here on a computer. We're making some tracks for fun, what we love, and the fact that anyone recognizable plays our records, and well, luckily now, knock on wood, happens a lot. It's incredible that happens. Like I never go one day without being thankful for that. And to this day I still post so and so played our record because I'm stoked. I'm fucking stoked about that, bro. I'm like a kid in the candy store for the first time every time.
I feel the same way, even if it's an unknown DJ, their very first mix, and I still see it posted. I'm like, man, you chose my song. I think
Yeah, when
actually,
they tag us, they tag us in
yeah,
social media, I don't care who it is. I repost it because, bro, they don't have to play our music. There's nothing written that they got to play our shit, and that's cool as fuck, man. I appreciate every person that does that, bro.
Yep.
So, what is it that you guys are doing when you're out and at a venue, when you're performing at a show, festival, or club? What is it that you guys are doing together as DJs? Are you going two tracks for two tracks, for example, or are all four hands on the mixer? What's the process?
I mean, it's kind of like we play it by ear. Honestly,
So sometimes,
sometimes it's like
sometimes if
one
they,
and one, sometimes it's two and two,
yeah,
sometimes
like we have the V10 here, which is way easier for us to play tracks on top of each other.
yeah.
Some
Yo, yo, wait, why?
or
Oh, hey, no, shit. Oh, wait, there you are. You totally froze for a second.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So apologies. I'm not quite sure.
Based on the equipment, it just depends.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
you were
the most
talking.
part.
Is that the Pi? Is that the Pi in your controller that's behind you? Is that what you're talking about? That V10 or?
We got the V10 mixer. It's a 6-channel mixer, and then we got
Yeah,
the
I'm
four CD.
unfamiliar. I'm unfamiliar with it.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
nice. It's got two separate headphone jacks too, so they're controlled. You can do the volume separately and everything.
Oh,
Queue
cool.
up tracks. Like he can queue up whatever he wants. I can queue up what I want, and like not
we
even
don't have
feed
to
into each
we
other.
don't have to hear each other's shit. So I could like prep my two while he's playing, and we don't hear
And
each
still
other's
and
music
still
at all.
concentrate on whatever's being emitted out of the monitor, and that way,
Yeah,
the mix is right. That's fantastic. Wow.
yeah. We have our own volume switches. We the what's so Pioneer.
Yeah.
So guys, over at Pioneer, what we do have on this V10 mixer is we have a 2-band EQ on the booth level now. You can
Yeah, it's
take the
awesome.
bass out, turn the bass up. We have compression built on each line. So if you're playing a vinyl rip, you could turn the compressor up on the channel.
Yeah, to beef it up.
Really?
Yeah.
Crazy, dude. They
Yeah.
snapped on this mixer,
That's
bro.
a cool coloring idea. Yeah, I like that.
But yeah, so as far as that goes, it depends on the setup. Really, it does. It depends. We require this setup, but we don't always walk into that scenario.
Yeah.
Is that mixer? Do you have like a coffin for it or something that you travel around with? Do you ever bring it with you? So you just have your own board and be like, "Fuck it, I'll just jack into your board and,
it,
and go out."
it's in our
No.
rider.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you're wearing a We Jack T-shirt, so I'm not.
Yeah, it's in our rider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, is it a common board? I mean, is it easy for promoters to find?
Well, it's new. I think it's like not even a year old. So
Right.
we've had it in a couple spots, you know, but I think it's going to take a minute before it gets to like a lot of the clubs. But it is a really nice mixer, compared to the Nexus 2 900, which is another nice mixer. But as a duo, it's like really, really, really nice to have those separate headphones and like the effects and everything else too. That's you can run like 3, 4 effects at the same time.
Yeah, you could literally you could do multiple effects at once where you couldn't do that before. You have 3 options to have effects all going at the same time. You could do a reverb here, an echo here, and a filter here, all separately.
Mechanics aside, I feel like even the visual of it is probably pretty cool because, if you've paid money to see a DJ duo and that you're actually able to see the physical gesticulation and manipulation of the board in
Yeah,
real time from the
yeah,
people that you instead of, one approaching the board and then one walking away or
yeah,
someone's mixing and then someone's reaching over and just has their hand on a knob.
yeah. Right. No, for sure.
Hey, different strokes for different folks. So, I'm I'm curious, where are you guys planning to go with this idea moving forward? Are you going to still champion the flag? And if so, how is it that you're going to move the ideas of Chicago and Detroit into 2021?
I mean, we'll always have a base root of our sound, which, I mean, as much as I'd like to say I'm from Chicago and he's from Detroit, we just want you to figure that out. We do have it in our bio and stuff, but like I just rather our brand and hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Just you hear the toms, you hear the 909s, the 707s, the 606. You hear this shit. You hear the Lynn drums. You understand where it's from. You more feel it, and if you know music deep enough, you know where it comes from. I don't even have to tell you. And then if you
Paul, are
read it,
you guys still using hardware?
some hardware, yeah.
Do you
So
feel
we
that when
definitely
that's happening that you're closer to the home? You're closer to home base of it?
and that's the nice thing is what we try to do is we do record our hardware. We bring it into software because software is more proficient to produce in. So we do have the 909, the 808, the 303. We do record these things and bring them into our software that we move really quickly in because using an MPC just seems a little outdated these days. You can do it, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's where I started. I started with an MPC 2000. So like I still like I like to do more one shots and like I'm using pads in software. So like if I like a patch, like back in the day, I had an Access Virus Indigo 2, and I loved this thing, but I could write leads and bass lines in this thing. But who could afford $4,000 synths 3 times? I can't afford 3 of them. So I had to free up the synth, and I had to decide: do I want the bass line to change or do I want the lead to change? Because whichever I need to change in the track, that has to stay live MIDI, and then I'm gonna have to sample the other one. So I try to sample a lot of the tones that will stay similar in the track, and and it helps with your CPU when you're not using a bunch of things in your program. It's all one shots. Like my export time versus someone who's using all synthesizers is crazy. Like I'll export in 2 minutes when it takes you 30 minutes. You know what I mean? So like it's an interesting way to produce. It's also the secret to why our sound sounds like 90s music, because I make sure it's all imported as samples. So like I'll record a synth. Me and him will pluck out the noises that we like, and then we cut it up and resample it and put it on the piano roll, so it's triggered like a 90s track. That's the secret to our sound.
Yeah.
Well,
You know what I mean?
I'm sure there's more than that.
Nope.
When you guys,
Nope.
you're like, that's it.
You can think it's more and be stumbled on trying to figure it out, but it's simple. We keep it simple, bro. I don't have more than 12 channels on any track. Maybe 13, 14 tops.
Are you
I've never
conscious
hit
of that
20. I
when
never hit
you're
20
writing?
tracks on a mixing board with any Gettoblaster track ever.
Yeah. CPU load is down compared to a lot of people. Not any issues.
And if I don't finish the track in 3 hours,
move on.
Scrap it, start over.
Why?
That's 100% accurate. I will not spend more.
I've got my angle. I mean, I just talked about this with Hatiras like 2 weeks ago. Why do you feel that way? Why the 3 hour thing?
If I go any more than 3 hours, I'm overthinking it.
Yeah. I think then too, it's like you're adding sounds and
You're
stuff.
you're just talking about the writing though, not the overall mixing and mastering. I mean, sometimes that can whole thing. You're out. The box is closed. 3 hours.
My record right now that is number 1 for 7 weeks on Beatport right now was made in an hour and 45 minutes, and then a 45-minute mastering job. And it's been number 1 for 7 weeks right now on Beatport. Still number 1 currently right now.
Are you racing yourself when that's happening? I mean, are you literally clock watching while you're in the process of it?
No, but I got off the phone with someone who told me I couldn't have a number 1 at 2 a.m. And a couple hours later, I inboxed him the master and said, "Here's the number 1 that's going to happen." It was kind of a challenge.
I've discovered I've gone through so many of the promos because I'm on your promo list. I think I'm on WeJack, and there's how many labels there's an umbrella that you're running, is there not? Or is it just WeJack?
It's down to WeJack, but we're about to do a big label launch coming up in August.
So
a big one.
Do you want to talk about that for a second? You want to talk about that?
We can. Oh, did I make it seem like I wanted to talk about it? So coming soon. Yeah, we do have a really large launch that we're gonna do. That's gonna be a 5-city traveling party label launch, the whole 9. So
wow,
we'll talk about that later.
Okay, so before we can do that now if you want. I guess what I was just gonna ask you is, you're definitely pulling a lot of classic style house vocals into your productions, and I mean, what are you doing are you licensing the vocals, or are you contacting the producers outright because of your roots in Chicago, being like, yo, let me.
Well, it depends which tracks you're talking about, because I mean, some like the one we did right now, there's nothing that needs to be licensed. My girlfriend did the vocals, inspired by an 80s track that wasn't replicated 100%, so it's not even a cover.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
No, it does.
But
I'm saying that you have definitely used classic house vocals from.
Usually they're credited on it, and we're working with them.
So that's what I'm actually asking about is the process, because and this to me is very interesting, because it's also been a topic on the show. It seems like what was old is now new again, but the thing that I guess maybe I've got a bit of a problem with is that when the song comes out, it'll have whatever the producer's name is and perhaps the title of the song. And then, of course, there's no extra action past that. The promotion and the branding moves forward with this idea, but never ever either digresses or has a lateral suggestion towards the original origin of where this came from. But when it comes
So
down to releases that y'all are doing, y'all are in a collaborative. So I can see, I'll be like, oh, that was Steve Silk-Hurley. I'd be like,
yeah,
fuck yes, it is. I know
yeah,
that vocal. I remember this record. I'd be like, oh
yeah,
shit, that doesn't sound the same. What is this? This is a new record. But I mean,
yeah.
do you under? I mean, it might say I'm probably I don't
Yeah,
know.
we try to credit everyone we work with. We've never taken anything without like the proper. I mean, maybe disco loopy stuff, but if I do disco loopy stuff, I'm not taking more than 4 beats like anybody else that's doing disco loopy stuff.
Yeah.
But again, when it comes to like the Steve Silk Hurleys, I mean, I think the tracks that came out with him said Steve Silk Hurley,
Yeah,
and it was Ghetto Blaster remix. Or when we did Work That Shit with Robert Armani, we featured Robert Armani. We didn't even have to. He didn't even ask us to feature him. We paid him the licensing fee, and then we featured him too.
Yeah.
I want to give credit to the people who came up with these ideas, because to me, like in the beautiful scale of all of this stuff, I want people to know that I was inspired by certain people. I mean, it's a big part of who I am.
Mhm.
So, like right now, we're doing a record with Rolling Clark, and Rolling Clark, it's gonna sound like a Rolling Clark record. It doesn't mean we sampled it, but we're featuring him. We are doing the record with him. He's writing the lyrics to it. Like I like to grab from what we knew
Yeah.
and make it new, because I don't know, like that was the idea of Ghetto Blaster. We felt like there was so much good stuff that we can't buy anymore. More or less, you like 25 records, and these are the records that have lasted in your crate for 30 years or 15 years or whatever the fuck you DJ'd for, the first ones, and these are the ones that made you do what you want to do. And there's just no more of those records. You want to buy more spastic.
fuck. Why does the internet keep cutting out?
So,
You cut out there for a second there. The last thing I heard you say was Plastic Man. But
yeah. So the records like Spastic Plastic Man or Computer Madness by Steve Poindexter or Jack Your Body by Steve Silk-Hurley, like these songs, they don't make these kind of songs anymore. So we were like, why not? Like these are the records that have lasted the length of time. So we try to go in with the attitude of, let's make what inspired us. Let's make it last 30-year shelf life. Like all of this goes into a record before we make the record. Like when I say that I made that record in 3 hours or 2.5 hours or whatever with Missy vocal, that's number one. Trust me when I tell you, I thought about that track for months.
Yeah.
I was gonna do it a long time ago. It wasn't like it just came up with the idea. I just went in and did it though. And you know this because you're a really proficient producer as well. So the software isn't the hard part for you. It's the ideas. Like that's what takes the longest, is coming up with the ideas and not second guessing it. So with that track, I already knew where I wanted it to go, what I wanted to sound like. I just came in and executed. I treated it like a job. Like I've already did the artist part a long time ago. In my head, I wrote that track 100 times. So I don't write anything that I haven't thought about or we haven't discussed how it needs to go. I haven't even tried to approach it. And where I get stuck, he jumps in. And where he gets stuck, I jump in. And that's what makes partnerships good, because that way you're never hitting that wall. Because how many times have you written a record? You're a one-man show. You're like, fuck, I hit this wall. I need to finish this record, but I'm just not feeling inspired to finish it today. I don't have that problem.
yeah, I mean, if we were to open up my Ableton and click the file button, I mean, it's scrolling
Yeah.
for
And that's the thing. I think
a hot
with
minute.
a partnership, you have someone completing your sentences, so it's easy when you
No,
hit a
yeah,
wall.
it's really incredible. I mean, I adore the story that you guys told. Obviously, I'm not fond of the start of it, but the end is a beautiful, sweet thing. You guys have been DJing for a long time, collecting records for even longer.
Yeah, I bought
You
my
have
first record in 1988.
Wow. 96. So I'm
I got
96.
my
Nope,
first turntables in
94.
'89.
94 was my first vinyl. I mean, I was obviously buying music as soon as I had an allowance, but
yeah, same.
Oh yeah.
you
I
know.
used to actually not buy lunch with my lunch money and save it for Friday to buy records at the record store.
So I was doing that with cassettes. I was
Yeah.
the kid at school that in any given moment I always had headphones around my neck with the
Same.
shitty orange foam that was around the cup.
Yeah.
With the
Sony Walkmans.
You
I
guys were those guys, huh?
when the Sony Walkman happened, that was the ultimate status symbol. I mean, like you'd see the yellow
Yeah.
box on your waist, and as soon as you saw that yellow box, you'd look at someone and you'd do this. You'd be like, "The fuck are they listening to?"
Yeah,
You
exactly.
Hey,
know,
let me ask you
are
this:
we gonna
when
be
you got
cool?
when you had your first pager, did you wear it on your belt or did you put it in your pocket?
It was in my pocket.
Good. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I was about to make fun of you.
No, listen, these were different times. The Walkman, I was a kid. The pager, I was paying for myself with. The pager, I was paying for with myself for with my part-time job. So I mean, it was also like I'm not quite sure why I even had a pager, right? I think
Got a
I
bunch
think I
of
just
secret
had a
messages.
pager. It was one of those things where someone would look over and be like, "He's got a pager," I'd be like, "Oh, he's got a pager," And then it was really funny because if I think to myself around that time, the timeline on how things moved when the cell phone first happened, this was a pretty, like this was like you weren't you were looked kind of scowled upon. Especially if you were in public and you were
Yeah.
having one of those loud conversations, the dozen or so
Oh,
people around you would do the one eyebrow raise and be like, "Who's this asshole?"
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Where now it's I think
Did you did you text people boobless?
no. I mean, I am definitely uh
800873555.
okay, it sounds like you've got it on
Just
lock.
throwing that out there.
There's a huge frat boy-y style angle to me without all the terribleness. I mean, if you take all the cutesy and stupid stuff, you could definitely associate that with me, and then the rest of it, no. But yeah, I
Did you have
mean,
a code? Did you have a code with your pager? Like when you texted someone, you left a code so they knew it was you.
no, I wasn't selling something.
Oops, did I give that away? I was deep in the game, bro.
I
Do you feel
hey,
nostalgic when you see a payphone?
no, but I immediately default to the Matrix is where my brain's at. Maybe because I've seen the
Yeah.
Matrix so often that when I do see a phone booth, I always think to myself, "Is now my time?"
When I see one, I'm like, where's the
More
drug dealer?
okay. So
There's that. There's a difference between Chicago and Toronto.
maybe or just like listen, I've talked about it before. I'm from suburbia. I wasn't a city kid. I didn't come from a spot where it was rough and tumble, but I still had to fight. So
Yeah.
it's not the same, but there's, I guess, a form of similarity. And
Oh, yeah.
and I've always obviously treated everything with a form of respect. I think everyone's got their own story, no matter where they came
Yeah.
from, and it's definitely
No,
worth
for sure.
listening to. Yeah, you guys have got 3 records in your box. Your stick plugged into your mixer or your players. I have absolutely no idea what that mixer even looks like, save what you just described, and I think it sounds pretty cool. But there's 3 tracks that are with you. They're new, they're kind of old, they're super classic, whatever they might be. What are these 3 tracks that never leave your bag, your box, your stick, that that will immediately light up the floor? They can be your tracks, obviously. They can be other people's tracks that you admire. Whatever they might be, we'd like to know what the 3 tracks are.
What kind of party is it?
Yeah.
That's the big question. So, what kind of party is it?
Ooh.
Which part?
Paul, I like you, man. Zach, we're just meeting. I like you too, but I feel like what you guys are saying here. There's a lot of. I feel a gel. Yes, you're the first person to have asked me that question. The party is a rave. You're going on at 1:00 in the morning.
Okay, go ahead. You first. What are your 3 records? Like, what would you light it up with right out the gate?
Oh shit. I mean, I'd do a classic Percolator. Fucking. I'd probably play fucking Bang It. I remix of Paul Johnson. Bang It right now. And oh man, the last one. Yeah, do.
So,
Damn it.
I would start the first one that I would do if it was a giant rave. The first one I would do is our record on Dirty Bird, which is Get That. It was a track with us and DJ Funk. And just because it's a huge, heavy 808 kick, you said it's a rave. So every time we play that track at a big room or festival, the air pressure changes in the room because of the way the kick hits. So that's a big one. And that was a huge record for us. So the build up on the first drop is just fucking insane. All the hands are in the air. So that'd be the first one. The second one is not out yet. It's a record we did with Hervé out of the UK, and it's called Back the Fuck Up.
Wait, what?
Oh yeah, we're doing a whole album with him. Yeah, we're doing a whole album with him right now, but this one's not out yet. We've played it a few times, and
That's crazy.
it's got a 2.5 minute build up for the intro. So like,
Okay, so we get some spoiler on this for a second, and then and then I'm wondering, does this translate to the new label story? So
yeah,
is this are you guys touch and fidget? Is that what's happening right now?
not
Is
really,
is
but
is
yeah,
he still touch and fidget?
not really. No, it's definitely it's him. It's us. It's new. It's
I'm
exciting.
thirsty.
It's exciting. It's exciting because you're gonna hear Hervé in this, you're gonna hear us in this, and you're gonna hear some new shit in this. That is like it's heavy, bro. It's heavy. So, and in my opinion, it's definitely a needle mover. It's gonna move the needle a little bit, and that was the idea. That's why it's taken so long for us to drop it, because we were just like very hesitant on moving on the project. In fact, we just got off the phone with him right before we started this interview. I had to cut it short so we could do this for you today. So, but yeah, we're gonna drop this as one of the either the first or second release on the new label, and we haven't decided on the name of the track yet, but the loop in it is called "Back the Fuck Up," back the fuck up, back the fuck up. But it's just really cool. It's heavy, big, huge 808s, laser sounds, not overdone, but like
Energetic.
it's in the pocket, man. It's one of those things like when it drops, you're like, holy fuck, that just happened. Like it was intense. When I listened to it, I forget we made it with this guy. Like
I am thirsty for this. Yes,
that's another
people.
one, and
Nice.
I'm really excited for. Well, I got 4. I'm sorry. I know it's 3, but I got 4. So another one that
Breaking rules.
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm breaking the rules, but that's me. But the next one is the one that's coming out on Dim Mac for us on June 22nd that we did with my
birthday.
girlfriend Missy.
That's
Yeah.
my birthday.
Oh, is it your
yeah,
birthday?
June 22nd is my birthday.
Oh, 6. So I'll send it to you before that for a
all
present.
right.
So we're cutting a music video for this one right now, and it to me it's a really cool track. It's fun, it's exciting, it's recognizable because it just has some nostalgia in the way she delivered her vocals, which are all original, but it's definitely a cool track. I'm excited for that. It will light up any room. It has. We've redone the record 6 or 7 times before Dim Mac picked it up, and it literally lights up the room every single time. So like we first tried it at North Coast Festival in Chicago. We were playing one of the big stages at North Coast Festival, and it was one of those where like we dropped it, and our boy Gene Ferris is like, "What fucking record is that?" Yeah, yeah. So it's you know what I mean. When you have a proper head like that asking you what that is, you know the track has something to it. So we just refined it a few times to where we think it's good, and it's almost had a few other homes, but we decided to go with the Dim Mac approach because it does have crossover ability, and they're obviously, their brand. So they're really good at pushing that kind of stuff with the music video and everything. So we're excited about that. And I would say the other one, so that's 3. So then the last one is it's called Arch Your Back. And that's coming out later this year on Shiba-san's label Basement Leak. It's just a classic if you make it bounce, you're gonna bounce that ass. If bounce your back, you're gonna make it arch. It's just like this girl vocal just trucking along in the track, and it's just called Arch Your Back, and it's about a girl popping that ass. So like I don't know, these are fun tracks to us. You know what I mean? The party tracks. And at a rave, I want to party and I want to smile and have good energy. And all these tracks that I named all have great energy. So, which would be different than a smart bar gig or like or like the old footwork in Toronto, like these type of gigs, it would be a different record. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be those records. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
But all of them are our records. Like I want to make sure that when I play, when you go to a concert to see Dave Matthews, You don't want to see Dave Matthews play a Metallica cover.
Right.
So the highlight of my sets are my music. That's it. I don't want to highlight. I will play other people's records because I have an appreciation and respect for other people. But when you're a kid that is not a DJ and you're Shazamming what they're playing, would it be weird if you Shazammed at the concert a guy playing a whole bunch of other tracks from other people? That'd be kind of weird, you know? So like that mentality goes into the peak of my sets, that I want to make sure the peaks are our tracks.
Take us into the record label.
Which one?
The one that you were getting very excited about talking. The one that's new. What's happening?
It's called Aliens on Mushrooms, and it's not out yet, obviously, but you will see the branding for it very heavy. You will see it launched. You'll see all of it. This is the first time we're talking about it publicly.
I mean, the timing's right. It seems like Silas Simon is about to have its moment in North America.
Oh, for sure. And the thing is, like, in general, mushrooms have been decriminalized in most cities in America, at least out here. So, like, there's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of hippiness to the whole like dance music scene, but you can't really put techno and hippies together to make sense. But we're trying to create a brand that covers the true hippies that love to cross over and listen to all music with no rules and like with no other thing but to be attractive to that scene as well as our scene. And acid house is a big part of it. We want you to think acid. We want you to think mushrooms. We want you to think all this fun loving stuff, but also with dance music, because dance music is either extremely underground or extremely commercial. We want you to like drop all those prejudices when it comes to this label. This is an everything label. This is for the masses, pushing the underground. Like this is the shirt too. So it says We Jack, but this was originally going to be a We Jack shirt, but it's turning into that shirt. So let me show you the back of it. Can you see that?
Yeah. It's like smiley faces and mushrooms melting into each other.
Yeah, so like that's going to be the shirt for it, and like we have a lot of cool branding ideas and things that are. There's going to be a lot of merchandising. There'll be parties in a lot of college towns with this. It's going to be a fun thing. We're probably only going to have 12 releases a year. I don't really want to do more than 12 releases a year, and we're going to put a lot into those releases. Like you're going to know about them, whether you like it or not. That's a whole different story, but you'll know about them.
Yeah. Do you ever feel that there's too much output? Have you ever felt that you're releasing too much music and that you need to control the flow?
Sometimes.
Sometimes,
but people need to step it up and make this sound more, because there's not too many people that make our sound. So it's like I want to play new records, but I can't find them.
Yeah.
So I make more records so I can play these type of records.
So here's perhaps and I guess after this I feel that I may have reached a place with Gettoblaster, an awesome place.
Oh, awesome.
When no, I'm constantly thinking to myself, how's somebody's butt doing while they're watching the show,
Yeah.
and of course this goes to podcast about a week after it streams.
Cool.
And so then I think to myself, maybe people are in their car or they're going for a run or a treadmill
Sure.
or something. So then it's in their ears and it becomes a different vibe. I'm always trying to take into consideration, like what we were talking about perhaps at the beginning of the show, how it's going to go and what's going on. I've only been streaming for about a year right now. And then, much like I imagine trying to become a new producer or DJ, that you want to get out there. I mean, you're throwing your hat into a ring that was, overflowing, perhaps might be a gentle word to use, and there's a massive learning curve along the way, but it's one of the things that I'm trying to think about. Some of these episodes have gone on for a couple of hours, and it freaks me out when it happens, because I'm like, holy shit, I just went and spoke to somebody for 2.5 hours. I don't know if you guys have used some of the apps like Clubhouse, for example, where the conversations are going on, and then sometimes the conversation is just going on.
Yeah.
And then also I worry about the echo chamber style effect of the conversation, where everything's just very agreeable. We're just nodding at each other.
Yeah.
And then after an hour of being agreeable, it's not like I want to get on Utility Room and argue with somebody. Maybe a kind debate where we're sharing ideas if they're not the same. But
one thing that you asked just a minute ago about the output being too high. So going back to that real quick, I just feel like I don't want to release as much as I do because of the business side of it. But as the artistic side of it, I don't care. I want to put out a record every day if I could. Like
So,
honestly, so it's like the
sorry,
business
Paul.
doesn't
Sorry.
it doesn't make sense to do that. Like so as it is now, we're releasing every other week, every week almost, and that's a high output. But again, we're filling a void. There's not enough music like this right now, and it's like some are tracks, some are songs, some is disco house, some is banging tech house, some is ghetto house. It's just like it's all across the board, and it's like we're not really one thing. So one day we have a big record in house, the next day we have one in jack in house, the next one we have one in tech house. So some of them don't cross over. We strategically try to place those so they don't cross each other's paths. Sometimes they do, and it becomes a problem on Spotify. Right now on Spotify, we pitched 2 songs, and they said you can't pitch the third song. You already had songs pitched this week. So now it's on the label to pitch it, and we hope the label pitches it. You know what I mean?
I am in your pond. We are in each other's pond. I'm wondering. Here's I don't know how else to say this. Constantly I'm either asking questions. Sometimes I'm in the middle of a question while I'm asking it, and I
Oh, you're
think to
good.
myself, I did that. I did that even today, where I was like, man, I'm not saying this right. And it
That's
gets
what
me.
make
It
that's
kept.
what makes this good, though.
Yeah.
That's what makes this good
Cheers.
because we're talking like people. So like we're not
It's
like
not
it's not
scripted.
it's not such a show. Like if I was listening to this is why I listened to the whole 2 hours of the podcast with you and George because I enjoyed listening you guys talk to each other. That's my favorite
That
part.
podcast changed me. That episode changed me.
Hell yeah, dope.
Tira said a few things over the course of that show. The same here. I feel like when we get off of Skype with each other, and and I will. I don't rewatch the episodes. Uh, I have a tough time watching myself. I'm not a real big look at me guy, which is funny because here I am, and it's like fucking look at me. Um, I do go through the episodes, and I do excerpts for Instagram where I grab, I guess, like fun or hot moments of the show, and then just put these excerpts together so people can see. Oh, I want to watch this episode, or maybe I'll miss this week, and I'll see you in the next one. Um, so when I was talking with Hatiris,
Yeah,
he said a couple things. One, he said all art is. I'm probably not saying it verbatim. All art is valuable. If I see a wall, an orange wall, and it's got a yellow stripe that's on it, I'm looking at this stripe. The artist had something in mind. Let me look at this. Maybe it's not
yeah,
for me. Okay, it's not for me. But there it is, and it should be respected. And the
100%.
reason why he went there was because I too asked him about the current state of what's going on with house music, and I guess perhaps what is being coined as progressive, where a very classic vocal is being grabbed. There's no nod to the original.
Yeah, that's
And and
terrible.
and and if you're only just getting into dance music, which is likely, or EDM or whichever umbrella term needs to be used for it. Boom boom. Okay, I want to rave. I want to go to a club. This vibe.
The hard part of this statement, though, and this section, I agree with what you're saying, and I agree with what George is saying also. But when you have platforms like Splice that are just throwing any vocals up in there and they're not supposed to because they can't really police it all, some 16-year-old kid who's downloading these loops doesn't
Has
know.
no
They
idea.
think that it's royalty free.
So
And they're just,
Spotify might not be perfect, but there's an instance now in Spotify of where there is a detail so you can see who the writer or the producer is, I believe.
well, Splice doesn't do that where you download stems.
Okay, so maybe this should be a thing that should be taken into consideration. So when you're grabbing this sample pack or this
Yeah.
vocal, which I know that you understand the origins of it, at least like so that so someone doesn't go, oh, you've got that, oh, move that body in your song, that sounds great. Be like, yeah, it's Marshall Jefferson. So somebody look at you and go, who? But there should be that conversation,
There
perhaps.
should be more
That
police.
conversation maybe is more important than people realize. Otherwise, they're going to see DJ ABC 123 who put together "Move Your Body" and
Yeah.
put a very modern style tech
Yeah.
house vibe to it that is blowing up the charts and everyone loves it. But if you just got into dance music the last 5 years, you're associating that vocal with this song and that producer,
Yeah,
and it
see,
actually.
we know better because we've been in the game long enough. Some of these young kids that are doing it, they're getting a sample pack that has illegal samples in it, and no one's policing that though.
Yeah,
That's
they
the
have no
thing. So
idea.
it's like they don't even know that they're sampling someone. They just think, oh, it says royalty free. Okay, cool.
Do you ever feel like you've got
That
a
happens.
responsibility to do some of that policing online? Do you ever feel the need where you see something posted, you just want to, do you want to jump
If
in and,
someone I've done it recently with people that I know that own the originals.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey buddy, I just want to send you a link to this. He's like, what's this? I go, I got it on promo. And dude, like, I don't know if they got the okay to do it, but I'm assuming you usually tell me everything you do, and that just happened. And then my buddies will cease and desist and sue them.
it just
I've done it a bunch of
literally
times.
happened to us. I got sent a promo pack.
Yeah.
I got sent a promo pack, and I'm going through the tracks, and I'm like, every time I'm listening to this song, I keep saying the same thing. So I'm like, this sounds familiar. Not everything. I can't know every track. There's 20 promos inside this folder. I get to one.
Sure.
It is literally a note for note rendition, copy, cover of Fowler's Hot. I work with Fowler. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm listening. I was like, honestly, I did a back and forth. I'm looking at the file. I'm like, no, wait, what? So I sent it to Fowler, and he's got a moment. He's like, the fuck is going on here? And then
Right.
he literally writes back and goes, he's like, is this a joke? And I'm like, that's not a joke. This shit's actually, like, I just got promoed this.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And
I
I
did
think
this.
to
I did the
myself,
same
like,
thing to my buddy recently.
yeah, like how blind do you have to be? Be like, can you imagine? Like we just kind of covered and ripped off someone that you work with, their song, and here it is. what do you think?
Well, I got one step further. I'm not going to say who or what.
Yeah, I
I
don't
got
want to
one.
shout a name either.
I caught one. I sent it to my boy, and my boy says he hit the label up to cease and desist them, and they said, "Well, dude, we got remixes of this." He's like, "Dude, you sampled my record without my. I don't care how much money you spent on the remix. I don't care. Like, no."
Oh.
And we caught it before it went out. So, like, obviously, the people who promo me didn't realize that I'm in bed with these guys. Like, they're my homies.
Just a wild west scenario that's out there right now. I heard there's something similar that happened with Phoenix Records.
No,
Yeah, it seems like the story is carrying on with people grabbing waves and just putting a new name on it.
and it's okay to do a bootleg of someone's shit and never give it out and play it in your DJ sets. That's
sure,
okay. Re-edit my shit.
Even cooler than
please
cooler.
do.
That is the cooler. Yes, I
that
agree.
is cool, but don't get the balls to actually put it out for sale. That's crazy talk.
That is crazy.
I mean,
yes, that is nuts.
We had somebody that took an acapella.
Yeah, we sold an acapella online, and someone took it, and I heard it on a pre-order. I'm like, what the fuck?
Didn't even credit.
I hit him up. I go, hey, bro, what the fuck? I just said, what the fuck? And he's like, oh, yeah, you guys, I sampled you guys. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, you can't sell that, bro. He was like, what do you mean? Why would you sell the acapella then?
No, they did.
So,
they were gonna
we're having a laugh.
And then he goes, well, we could put your name on it. I go, oh, cool. Put my name on it. Cool. No. I go, unless you want to get a fucking huge lawsuit, you're going to take that down. I go, and I can come to you. We can come hang out.
So I'm thinking, well, we're having this laugh. Is it that we're having the laugh, and is there a form of gentle ignorance here, where it maybe yes, maybe not, perhaps even the right term to think about using? It's just that they're unaware. Is it potential that we're talking about someone who's 17
the education's
years old?
not there.
That's right. Has figured out the software. They're having a good time. They genuinely love it. They're like, fuck, and it turns out to be amazing. They're like, holy shit, I'm putting this out. And they're doing that because they don't think they're doing anything wrong.
Well, it's a responsibility on many levels. I don't think the stores care.
Yeah.
I think the labels should do their research before they pick up a record. And I think also it's on the artist to not do it. If they're unknowingly doing it, that's one thing. But if they're knowingly doing it, that's another thing. And it's like, when you get your driver's license to go drive your car, you got to take a driver's test, and you got to put your fucking turn signal on when you take a right. When you're releasing professional music, you should understand there's some etiquette, there's some rules, there's some laws. You should know this shit before you're allowed to just release music.
I think a lot.
You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Don't even think about it. They're just like,
there's no rules.
They get the software for free. It's pirated, and they're just excited to put something out. But I agree. Like, I
there's
think
no
the
rules.
label should take some responsibility. Like, they should definitely check all of that. You know?
Yeah, there's no rules. Like no
Yeah.
one knows that's wrong.
Yeah.
What 16-year-old kid knows that there's a legally aspect to that's wrong?
Yeah, they're just excited to put something out.
They're just excited they made something that sounded similar to their favorite producers. You know what I mean? So like I'm saying that there's some honest mistakes in there, and yes, there should be someone that corrects it because that's not okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you're influenced by somebody, that's another thing. I've accidentally wrote things that sound like other people's shit. It is what it is. I love music, and there's only fucking so many notes in a fucking bar. Like I mean, things I don't know how many times I've written dun 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 dun. How many fucking people did that? A lot of people have done that. You know what I mean? I'm making basic ass melodies. I'm doing like pretty much hot cross bun melodies, like hot cross buns. You know what I mean? Fuck, dude. I can't play those 3 notes, bro. I learned that in kindergarten. It's in my head. You know what I mean? Like, you see what I'm saying? So it's like, yes, I think that it should be policed. I think that people should be educated more so they don't do shit like that. And it's not that hard to make it your own. If you like the record that says "Move Your Body," fucking get a mic and say "Move Your Body" and do your own "Move Your Body" and just don't do it exactly the same as that guy. What the fuck? It's pretty easy. You know, like hence the reason my girlfriend became a vocalist. I was tired of like vocalists giving me unoriginal material or trying to rip people off or being difficult to work with. I'm like, let me hear how you sound on the mic. Oh, you sound awesome on a mic. I'm gonna turn my girlfriend into a superstar. It's all good.
That's like she's right here too, so you can train her exactly how you want it to be said.
Hell yeah, 20% all day. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I'm curious what we were talking about.
That was a joke, by the way.
You know, it's funny. I guess it does need to be said. 2021.
If I want her to still love me, I definitely have to say that was a joke.
We're in a place right now. You've said something that has it's touched me.
I love touching you.
I remember we can't talk about those past days now, can we? So we've got music that is crossing a variety of genres and might not necessarily belong on one stage or the other. Where does it go?
It's up to the artist then at that point. Where do you want to land? Because your DJ mixes land you where you're going to go then at that point.
So as you were saying, you're in a place of where you're both touching house, tech, Detroit, Chicago warehouse, booty. You're going through this stuff. So if you're doing booty, that doesn't go on a house music stage. You know, like I would. Does it
at the right tempo?
Is it that I'm stuck in a place in my brain where I feel like, and perhaps just because of what I've been exposed to, I wouldn't see, for example, in Toronto, I wouldn't see Mark Knight and DJ Funk either following one or another on a bill. That wouldn't happen.
And see, that's crazy to me because that should happen.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not. We're a personal preference.
Right. But I'm just saying though, like, I think the kid that's doing coke in the bathroom and ordering a bottle would be down for both.
So then, why is it that they're not being paired? I mean, are you seeing that bill, for example? I mean, let's call it that bill. I'm shouting out both these names because both of them are awesome sauce.
I've seen it in festival scenarios.
Okay, so festival might not exactly make sense because at festival it feels like the stage it feels more about a standing and a prolific broadcast, how people are perceiving that name more than the music. Would you agree?
I think it's got a lot to do with compartmentalizing. Is that that's such a hard word for me to say. Compartmentalizing. It's like you're boxing it into this, you know what I mean? But like now, so DJ Funk is an extreme scenario though, because that's extremely niche what he does. Yeah.
Okay.
Like what we did with DJ Funk is nothing like what DJ Funk does. It's
what
similar.
About Godfather? Would that be a different example?
He's definitely on his own. He's on an island on his own as well, where he as a DJ he could blend in anywhere. Right. But as far as like compartmentalizing him, it's hard because these guys are very unique music. He's very Detroit electro, They call it JIT. They don't even call it ghetto. Like they call it something else. You know what I mean? So like it's a different thing. And yes, it works. It could work in a night, but I can see where a club promoter that's, a little bit more like genre influenced would have a problem doing multiple genres in one night. It's the flow of the night, really.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, I'd like to see the Mark Knight play from 12 to 2, and I'd like to see the Godfather play from 2 to 4 because the tempo is going to rise at the end of the night. You know what I mean? So yeah, I guess in a perfect nightclub scenario, I'd like to see that. Does it happen like that? No.
What is the what is it about the curation that's currently happening of and so I guess that when you bring up the festival, this throws it all into a form. I guess it turns it into chaos because I believe if I'm looking like at a main stage festival lineup, I think the idea of the sound might be there, but once it finally happens, I'm not quite sure. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. You know what? And
Well,
also,
sadly, in the festival scenario, I think what we see more so than we do genres of music is whoever gets paid the most is playing the top time slot and looking at their dollar amount smaller and smaller, smaller is how the lineup goes. I don't think they do it according to music.
Mm-hmm.
so
Sadly.
what happened to curation? And then gosh, here we are. Touching. I'm going in this place. I just that because I feel the same. Here I am. Sometimes I'm breaks. Sometimes I'm electro breaks, like the Detroit electro, which to me is still breakbeats, but it's
Yeah.
electro, so it's there. Sometimes I'm techno, but I don't feel like I'm modern techno. Like I don't know if I would fit in with what, for example, Drum Code is releasing right now. Like not even close. But if I look back to what Drum Code was doing in maybe 2002 or 2003, I'm like, like so
Right,
it's not.
right.
And that doesn't mean that I don't like the idea of new techno. I'm not quite sure if what I'm hitting right now is new techno. I don't even know when someone. I'll tell you what. I'm stuck. I'm stuck because
There's a lot of gray area right now in the whole music outlet. I think from the beat ports to the Spotify's to the parties to the people who listen to the music, I think there's a lot of blurred lines right now. I think it's more blurred now than ever.
just trying. I guess you know what I'm again. I'm having a tough time. I'm just saying where do we go? I'm not. I'm here. I'm with
You
you.
follow your heart with music. You do what
Uh,
is that is you
hundred
do it
percent.
will
It
land it
definitely. If
will land where it's supposed to.
in from 20 late 2017 to right now, what people are hearing me do is yes, that's at least where I'm now today. This is you're getting it. I did a release with Fowler. We put out an EP like literally, I think like somewhere on New Year's Day 2021.
Yeah.
Potentially the worst time to ever release some music, but I was like, in fact, that might be the best time. So and it's I'll send it to y'all. I don't think you've heard it.
Yeah.
It's really it's kind of all over the place. We called it Road Trip because the idea was you hit the road and you listen to this shit because there's no dance floors right now.
I think
This
one of the craziest things that we encounter. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, Paul, go ahead, man.
Oh, I was saying one of the craziest things that we encountered with rebranding though was starting over 100%. It was so crazy, dude. Like because of this exact conversation, where do we let the chips land?
You know what?
It was a
Sorry.
hard it was a hard thing. It was a hard thing to like try to figure out where we were going to fit. We decided let's just make music and put it out there and see where it lands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we
So
didn't
and
know.
I feel like I'm still in the same spot. So I'm living by what it is that y'all are saying. So
Yeah.
that's just it. I'm not quite sure where it's going to go. And if I was to think about it, like I too touching back on what we were discussing earlier in the show, when the playlist becomes apparent to us and we see it, this person has gone ahead and they've played your song in this place. It's
Yeah.
charted here or it's listed, and
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm like, holy shit, like that's going on. It's an exciting moment to see the music being used somewhere else. And it's not like I might be. I sometimes listen to the mix and I'm like that's how you used it, but I don't want to say that because I think to myself it's more personal to me, and we don't have the say. Once that it's a really freaky moment when you're hitting that upload for your song to go to planet Earth because you're letting it go. Where's it going now? Some
You can't
It might
take
be
it
getting
back
ripped
once
off
it's
by
out
some
there.
person somewhere else and being re-released. It might be getting sampled and chopped up and then remixed or bootlegged. We don't know what it might just be listened to on a jog. Who knows where it goes? It's out of our hands. But
And that's it. It's hard to, like, you could help navigate it in certain areas, but you can't really control where it goes.
so when I think about stages, I don't there's not an anything goes stage. When I'm going to a party or a club or a festival, there's not an anything goes stage. And I'm wondering, does that mean that we're Balearic? Because
I
isn't
mean,
that
I think there is, though. Like, I mean, the stage that we played on at Spring Awakening, we played on the main stage, and the main stage was everything. It was Kid Enigma early on, then it was us, that was Gene Ferris, and
Chris Lake.
before that it was GTA, then it was Chris Lake, then what was the rapper guy? There was a rapper dude, and then it was Cascade. That's everything. I don't know. I mean, it's not everything, but it's a lot of genres.
right?
You know what I mean? So it's like there's that, and then there was other stages that started. I think it's more of a timing with things. I think they put, like, at festivals. I think they put the houseier stuff, but it depends though, because then you go to the UK where festivals are all one genre. Like, it's like this is going to be the techno festival. It's all techno. The Awakenings
Right.
festival. You're not going to hear Derek Carter at the Awakenings festival. You know what I mean? You're going to hear Marco Corolla or Alan Alien, or you're going to hear Lauren Garnier. You're not going to hear certain things at certain festivals. So there's definitely the niche festivals. I mean, it's like everything. So it's like, I don't know. You got to figure out where your chips want to land. You know what I mean? And with us, we didn't put any structure. The only thing that we decided to do was we were like, we're going to make techno, but we're not making techno at that tempo, and we're not going to make house at that tempo. We're going to stay somewhere in between, so it's appealing to both. That's what we did.
Yeah.
Because we don't want you to be able to put us anywhere. We're cool with that. We're cool with don't put me anywhere. Like, it's all good. I want you to struggle with the genre when you hear my music. I want you to be like, where do I put this? Cool, awesome, perfect. Takes all the pressure off us.
Nice.
You know what I mean? And, like, I come to find that, like, a lot of people are like, yo, when I play one of your tracks, I got to play 5 of your tracks because it doesn't really go with anything else. I'm like, or it goes with everything. You don't realize that.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know. We just do this because we love it, man. And it caught on, whatever. It's cool. It's fun. At the end of the day, if our career ends tomorrow, bro, I've seen more places than I ever thought I'd ever see in my life. I have friends in every corner of this world. Our music's been played on all the radio stations, and if it got played on none, I still would have done it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, that doesn't matter to me. But it's cool. It's fucking cool.
I really appreciate both of you coming onto the show, sitting with me. I appreciate
Oh, you're awesome,
the
bro.
ideas being shared. This was tremendous and super awesome. So yeah, thank you. Before things get wrapped.
It's been very hard to figure all this out too during pandemic, because everything that we've planned has been very difficult with pandemic, because every rule that there was in music changed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I wanna go with you. I wanna go. Where are you at? Where are you at with what's going on with NFTs? Do you feel that the music, it can be tokenable? Are you thinking that this is a new opportunity for the industry for artists to actually take more control of their properties?
What's your opinion? I have a very strong opinion about it, but you go ahead.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Like, I don't know. Not being able, I believe, like with NFTs, when you get something physical along with it, like it's packaged, and you're actually receiving something that's physical too. But just doing everything off of, like, I don't know what you want to say, something that you can't. It's not. You can't touch it.
Tangible.
Yeah, it's not tangible. I just don't know about that. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it gives some, more shine to songs, all this stuff, but what are you really giving somebody? You know what I mean? Like, I don't want somebody to feel like all we're doing is take, take, take. Like, I mean, yeah, there's super fans out there, but like, can you work with them or like give them something that they could actually have or be able to obtain rather than just going off of your music? That's my opinion.
So I have something to say towards that. I hear what you're saying. I agree with some of what you're saying. I feel that there's another side that is often not taken. So I forget about it too, which is the idea of it. And when we're buying music, especially since stuff moved from. I mean, when's the last? I don't know. I'm gonna ask this question. You guys can come back to like last week. When's the last time you bought a record? I haven't bought a record personally. I gosh, I don't know. I don't even want to say how long because I'm unaware, but I know that it's for sure north of a decade. So if I haven't picked up something tangible, that means everything that I've been buying has been a file, and that these
Yeah,
files are really ideas. So I'm really buying an idea because I can't hold the file. I can see the
That's
file,
true.
but I can't hold it in my hand. So the idea is in my
Yeah.
head. And this is part of. I'm going to totally digress for a second because this is my big problem, and I'll say it, and I get it. I'm part of it, so it means I'm actually contributing to the problem, which makes me a bit of a hypocrite. But who the hell decided that music or movies was $10 or $15 a month? Where the fuck did that come from? Because I'll tell you something. When I'm going to a movie, for example, I don't know if I'm really paying for the seat that I'm sitting in. As much as I'm sitting down wanting to get all of those ideas beamed into my fucking eyeballs and then staying in my brain.
yeah.
And then once it's in my brain, it's there for as long as I want it to be. And even sometimes if something's terrible and you want to forget about it, you still do recall. So what is the valuation of this? And then, of course, when you think about something like that, which is a bit of a lateral move towards the NFT, because it's not tangible, right?
Yeah, so my answer to the question is a little different. My answer to the question is I still haven't sold my baseball cards yet that are worth a lot of money.
I heard they're coming back.
Yeah, they are. They are.
I
I
think
noticed.
that
I
might have
looked at
something
the
to do
other.
with the Jack of all trades documentary. Did you watch this on Netflix?
I didn't, but I need to.
Harv
I heard
Harv
about this.
Glazer is one of the people that's behind that movie. I went to high school with him and his sister, and he's
Oh shit!
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
sick.
Here in Toronto, the movie's actually from this neighborhood that we're in right
Oh
now.
wow, sick.
Thornhill, yeah, it's a fantastic documentary. I haven't seen a
That's
documentary
amazing.
like, and it does detail what happened with baseball cards because it had a tremendous rise and then
Yeah.
it had like a rock bottom fall. But it seems like it
Well,
does.
I seen recently, like, because I have a bunch of Mark McGuire rookie cards or the USA cards. I was like, man, I think this was worth a lot of money back
Right.
then. I was able to get $20 for them back then. I looked at it's like $10,000 right now. I'm like, dude, I got $100,000 of baseball cards in my mom's
Oh
house.
shit! You might
No, I got a
maybe
bunch of
jump
the
while that iron's hot. I'll tell you something. I've been thinking about too.
yeah.
My grandfather gave me an all-star Mickey Mantle baseball card from '58,
Woo!
and it's in a very good condition. But still, I mean, like it's not. There's not like
I got a Mickey Mantle and Boyer card. I got a Michael Jordan rookie starting lineup in the package
I got a
still.
Stan
Woo,
Musial
buddy.
all-star card from '58 as well.
That's
Yes,
awesome.
sir.
See, so I haven't sold these yet. So NFTs, investing in virtual memorabilia is not really my cup of tea. And as far as how it's worked in the music industry, is it cool? Yeah, it's cool. There's nothing wrong with it. If you can figure out a way to get $1,000 for something, bro, by all means do whatever it is that you got to do. Does it interest me? Not the least. Do I understand it? Yes. Is the cryptocurrency cool? Yeah, that shit's all awesome when you're ready for it. I'm still trying to like hone in on my craft as an artist. And then maybe once I've gotten to the peak where I'm bored, maybe I'll figure out a way to do the memorabilia, put stock into myself. Because essentially you're selling stock into things that you're creating. I'm still creating. I'm not in the selling stage of that part of it yet. So I'm not there yet. So it doesn't make sense for me. Where it does for a certain artist like the Blouse who've made $11 million. Well, he made that album. He's there. I still haven't made the album that I'd be willing to sell as a virtual memorabilia. I haven't made it yet. I'm still creating that craft. So I, I, I might be 20 years in the business, but Gettoblaster is only 5 years old. Do I think I should get $11 million for some virtual memorabilia? Not yet. I mean, maybe I'm capable of it. Maybe we're capable of making it worth something and we can do a team up with an artist and all this, but I'm not really into the hustle of that. Like it's cool. I respect it. I respect any art. Like that's all cool, man. Like there's nothing wrong with it. But and again, I'm not even in Bitcoin either. So like I'm not in any of this stuff that, that does that stuff. So if I were a little deeper into it, maybe, I don't see
Mm.
anything wrong with it. It's cool. I mean, people are getting paid, and it's another way of making revenue. That's cool. But I'm also not in this to get rich. I don't really
What
care
is
about that. If I did, I'd be
what
focusing
is
on
the
that.
thing? Because I wanted to jump in like a few times while you were saying what you're saying. The idea, I guess, about the blockchain is also a form of self control over the property that you're emitting. The stuff that you've got that you wish to share with everyone. There's a sense of it's beyond sense. There's the definite mechanic that this is yours. The idea that it did come from you. I mean, it's obviously it's a different avenue than what's going on right now. Are you not following that because of what you just said? That you're like, I'm my focus right now is actually in the music output, so I'm just not there. Because I'm thinking about what you guys are doing. You've got a new label coming up. You're constantly putting out music.
Yeah.
Your output is super strong. You're prolific. Right now, if someone's online, they're playing house music, chances are that you do have a Ghetto Blaster song or remix in your bag or on your key. So if this is happening, like, wouldn't you want to know about this avenue that is clearly gaining a form of momentum? And it's, even me, I'm looking at, I'm scratching my chin. I don't think I've signed up for Audius yet, for example, but I'm looking at it and I'm going, well, maybe I should. Because how old is
Yeah.
Audius? It's not that old. I mean, when you're talking about Ghetto Blasters, only maybe a half
No.
half decade old. Audius is quite new. Uh, and when you look at it, it sounds really great, especially when you look at the valuation of it. I think right now it's just below $3.50 American for
Oh
one
yeah.
Audios coin. Uh,
Which was super lower before, so people have
Yeah,
already
it was
made big
well,
money
it
on it.
was I think it was less than a penny, right? So I mean, this is,
Yeah.
and I
Oh
I,
yeah.
I don't I can't talk fully about it because I'm not in it. Like I said, at least I don't think I
Yeah. Same. Same.
maybe
Yeah,
a,
yeah.
And that's the thing. Like I'm not into it, so because I'm not in it, for me to go learn something while I'm still focusing on something else, I'm like dude.
it,
I still hire a graphic designer for Christ's sakes, bro. I don't know how to use
me too.
Photoshop,
Me
so
too.
like,
Yeah,
what I mean, so
Josh Johnson out of Vancouver does all the stuff like utility room. I mean, even though this is not like a super like, whoa, where'd this font come from? It's just that he's done all the branding stuff. It's not that I don't have all the time. I mean, I feel like every day I'm like, woohoo, looking at like,
yeah, you're
yeah,
doing
yeah,
a
I gotta
hundred
let
things.
go of that
Yeah, yeah,
chainsaw
no,
right now.
totally.
It's gonna hit the ground. Don't cut my leg. I'm gonna keep juggling these two, and it's just like, yeah.
Yeah,
So the challenges are there. Guys, I
yeah,
I adored our time. I feel like my big ask at the end of this show is, I would love to see you both. Not obviously, not this exact second. I want to rave. I want to rave to y'all. I would love to see you both up on the board behind you and mixing. I'm curious to know what this looks like and how it feels. And so I'm asking, would you come back onto the show? Would you guys play music for us?
yeah. Of
Yeah.
course,
Thank you.
of
I
course.
love it.
Can we do it? Can we do it topless?
Oh yeah.
Paul.
I have I have pierced nipples.
however you want to display it is up to you. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just here to listen to you and rave to you.
Awesome. No visuals.
Hey, look,
Okay, I got
sometimes
it. I got it. I got
Paul,
it. I
Paul,
got it.
sometimes
So
sometimes my
I'm
eyes are
cool, but you
closed.
don't want
I'm
to
on
see
the
me
dance
naked,
floor. My
bro.
eyes are
Okay,
closed. I'm
okay. So
not
I'm
seeing.
judging you now.
I've hit people by accident. Obviously, gave them a hug and apologized, but I don't want that to happen. More often than not, I'm trying to find my own space so I'm away from people so I can do my super awesome turns and not smack into someone by accident because I don't want to do that.
Well, 6 feet apart right now.
That might actually help. I'll tell you something. There's a benefit to that I don't think people ought to talk about, which is what I've just talked about. Imagine having that 6 foot
Yeah.
radius to dance in. Some big
Oh
moves
yeah.
being tried, and
Nobody
failed, but
rubbing
tried.
Vicks vapor rub
Yeah,
on
yeah.
you.
I'm just saying.
No Vicks vapor rub on you at all. Like that's awesome.
There's
I'm vibing.
irony in it with this whole mask stuff that's happening right now. It's like, man, I know in between 94 to 96, I kind of wore a mask every weekend. So it was, I feel like,
You know what's really crazy about the pandemic that I just realized today? Me and my girlfriend were going for a drive earlier. I was like, man, you know what's really cool about because everyone wants to talk about, oh, what we're losing, what we're missing. What are we gaining out of this? What we're gaining out of this is like a sense of family. Like honestly, like, hey bro, how you doing today? You good? Like, are you mentally fucked up? Are you okay today? Like, we good? We need to go for a walk? We like, what's up? Like, I feel like we care about each other more. I feel like when I'm going, this is a hard one. I can't get Charmin. What do I gotta? How am I gonna wipe my ass without Charmin? What the fuck? You learn to appreciate toilet paper. Period. Like, it doesn't matter if you're wiping your ass with cardboard. At least I got some cardboard to wipe my ass. I don't care if it's Charmin 2-ply. Like, I could do 1-ply. You just gotta wrap it around your hand a few more times. But point being is that, like, we care so much about all the dumbest shit before this pandemic that we're now not caring about all of that as much. And it was funny because, like, the whole time we started the pandemic, how I showed you my weight loss, like, I told him, I was like, the cure to this is just going to be eating healthy and getting healthy. That's
Your
how you don't die from
transformation
this.
is super awesome sauce. Congrats.
Thanks, bro. And it's like I decided when this pandemic started, I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to work out. I'm going to work on music. I'm going to stay focused. I'm going to keep releasing like religiously. And we stuck to that the whole time. We're gonna, like, if we don't have a presence on our way up right now, we're gonna be forgotten about when this opens. If it ever opens, it might not even open back up the way we know it ever. So, like, who knows? But I want my life to be good, and, like, I want to feel fulfilled. And I make music. I'm not stopping my music because there's a virus. Okay, cool. There's a fucking virus. Big fucking deal. I still love music. I still like to DJ.
And people still listen to music.
And people still, they listen to music 30% more, according to my Spotify. 30% more now than they did before the pandemic, because now they can't go to a party, so they are listening. The kids are at the corner with earbuds in because they don't go to a festival now. So the only place they can is on these avenues. So all the people who are like, Spotify, I don't know about this. Well, that's where kids are listening to music. And if you don't learn how to transform in there, you're going to wither away. It's important. These things are super important, you know? Like, I don't mind. Like, people always complain about how much they're making on Spotify. Oh, you only make 0.001 cents. Cool, get 1 million plays like I did. I got paid on 1 million plays. Like, I got paid pretty good, actually more than I made ever on Beatport. So, like,
that's how you know your tracks are getting out to the masses too, not just to, like, the industry.
But people get mad when they only see 0.001 cent on a play, but they keep forgetting that they didn't download that. They leased your track for 3 minutes. They didn't take it home. They don't.
So
they didn't
is that?
download
Hold
it.
on
It's
for a
not on their
second.
phone.
So I touched on this for a sec. Here's a part where I feel like I have a differing opinion than you, because, again, thinking about the experience, those 3 minutes, what's that valuation to you is less than a cent?
I mean, yeah, because it's not theirs anymore. They only borrowed it for 3 minutes. How much do you get paid when you played at a party and they hear it?
So I
Nothing.
mean, like, I don't know if that comparison is exactly the same, but sure, let's go there.
But if you want to break it down, let me ask you this. So you get paid more for a download because they're buying it, they're taking it home, they can exploit it, they can do whatever they really want with it at that point because they bought it. So when they're borrowing it for 3 minutes, the only thing that they're going to do is give it to another friend who's going to play it, and you're going to get paid from that too. You know what I mean? Like, they might share it, they might playlist it, they might listen to it 100 times. But the thing is, it's easier to get someone to listen to your music than it is to get them to buy your music. So your ability to get more people to listen to it makes more sense. That it's easier to get people to listen to it than it is to buy it. Simple as that.
So why is a concert ticket so expensive? Why is a festival ticket so expensive? All right, if that's the case. So and then it needs to be asked, is the experience that I'm going to have at that festival trumping the experience that I'm going to have, for example, when I'm at the gym and I'm rocking out and I got Metallica and Justice for All in my headphones? I'm using that album, man. I'm using it. That is my fuel. I'm not having the same workout and I'm obviously being specific towards name. And every morning I've got a playlist of stuff that I've specifically curated for my time when I'm in that room and I'm lifting weight. You know, I think to myself,
if I'm correct though, to make a playlist though on Spotify, you have to pay for an account. So you get more than 0.001 cent on a play then, if they're putting you in a playlist, because the paid user, you get more money on a play from them.
So I don't know anything about that. All I know is that somehow, somewhere, someone said to us that the experience for music or film at home is this much per month. But if I want to go and have that experience before me, then it's exponentially greater. If I want to go and buy a ticket to a movie right now at IMAX in Toronto, I think it's $25 for the movie ticket.
Right.
Okay, I'm in the theater for 2 hours. What does this work
Yeah.
out to mathematically? Honestly, I
So
don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I do know one thing is that it's greater than
yeah.
half a cent, and
Yeah.
even then, I don't get to keep the movie. Just like what you were saying, I go to the concert, I don't get to keep the concert. The most that I can do to keep the concert is to buy the T-shirt at the merch stand, or a wristband, or a bandana, or something adorned with the brand of what it is that I just saw, so that I can look at it and someone else can see it and say, oh, you were there that night. So now the conversation has the valuation to it, which stems from the idea, which is what I was
Right.
talking to you about before. How much
But
is
now
is the idea
Netflix, though,
worth?
what is a movie getting paid on a Netflix stream? I don't know.
I don't know the answer to that
Yeah,
question.
see, I don't know, but here's the thing though.
Okay.
The guys who own the movie have the choice of putting it on Netflix for the money. You understand? Like if you're in the movie and you own the movie, you have the choice whether you want Netflix to have it or not. And you're taking a dramatic pay decrease when people stream it there. But that's on the guy who owns the record. It's not on everyone else. So it's like I'm
Paul,
cool with it.
there's
You
got to
know what
be
I mean?
people in film who are literally of the same type of mind that you and I are in right now, where we're like, we love so much what we do that I'm going to actually release this song. I don't think anyone's going to ever fucking play this thing, but I love it. So here it is, because
I
I want
also
you.
think too with Beatport though, like Beatport takes 40% of your money for being in the store. Like that's kind of crazy to me too.
So
You know,
all of this is part of the umbrella of what I'm
yeah, it's
talking
all
to
the
you about.
same shit, really,
So
right? I mean,
this is what I'm saying is that how do we evaluate stuff? It's a very weird discussion. I feel it's
yeah,
almost like a hypnotic, undiscussed form of marketing that has been coming at us for fuck knows how long, where we're saying,
right,
okay, here at this moment. So essentially, in my mind, this is what I'm seeing. You can go to the movie and you can see it in the movie theater. Pay $25, gives you the opportunity to go ahead and you go and take a selfie in front of the movie theater. Look where I am. Oh, I'm first. I went to Endgame at midnight.
yeah.
Okay. And then it's all over
People
my
do that.
social media. So I'm increasing the valuation of my own brand using the idea of something that is very
Yeah,
expensive. Who knows how the fuck much Endgame costs to produce? I can only guess. I
right.
mean, you buy a town for it, right? So I'm just saying this. This is happening. And then if you don't wish to be first, and you're okay
Yeah,
to watch Endgame on Netflix in 6 months from now, then here for
yeah,
$15, and you can go and you can stream it every day of your life, no problem. So is
yeah.
this what it is? Is there a hierarchy of idea that someone gets to be out there and they get to be standing on a form of a social pedestal to say that I did this first, I was at this concert, I did this thing. Look
Maybe,
at
yeah.
me because I paid this money, and then over here you all have to wait for that stuff. You're over here, you're paying this fee. You'll get the ideas later.
Yeah, that's definitely some bougie shit. I agree. I can't disagree with that. Do I think it's right or wrong? I guess I'm very unopinionated on it because I have Netflix and I go to the movies.
Hey, like I said,
So maybe
I
I
have
have a silver
Netflix as
spoon in my
well.
mouth. I don't know, but I get it, and I'm still cool with it because at the end of the day, like I never made music for money. Personally, I personally never did that. I did that because, well, I honestly did it secondly. I fell in love with making music, but for me, that's not why I made music. I made music specifically because there's something that I wanted that I couldn't buy. It was in my head of what I wanted, and they don't make a lot of it. So I wanted to make more of that, and that's created what we're doing. So that has never it was never about the money on that aspect. I just wanted to DJ this kind of stuff, and there wasn't enough of it. I can't play the same 5 records at every gig. I'd not get booked anymore. I would be bored. I wouldn't want to DJ anymore if I play the same 5 records, even though there's records that have never left my crate since I bought them ever. But point being is that like I'm not making the music for that. And if I see anything from it, that's super cool. Like I'll make money on my gigs, and if I don't make money on my gigs, I'll get a job. Like, dude, like I don't do this for that. It's turned into that. It's manifested into that, but I didn't go for that. That's not what I did this for ever, ever, ever. That's why I can navigate through a pandemic because through a pandemic, I'm not making money on gigs where I actually do make my money, and I'm able to navigate through a pandemic because I never just made money from just music ever in my whole life.
Incredible.
You know, so
Gettoblaster with us here in the utility room. Super stoked to have this team with us here. It was dynamite with you on the show. Love sharing the ideas. Out of all the times that we've chilled, I'm not quite sure we ever went this deep. Did you freeze? Good. I feel like I could.
and he's back. Hello, mate. Hello. You should see what the screen looks like on our side. You're like,
Yeah.
I'm like, look at him.
You can see us on YouTube, Periscope, Facebook Live. You can see us on Twitch. We're even on LinkedIn. After we go and we air, we are in podcast. You can grab that show absolutely anywhere where you are podcasting. That is Gettoblaster. This is Utility Room. You are absolutely awesome sauce. Gettoblaster, don't touch that dial. We will see